Hey, everybody. It's the two old farts coming at you live from the head old farts house.
With the snaggletooth and the bummed horn.
Show me your bum arm. I'm Chuck.
I'm Lou. I'm the better looking of the two old farts.
Are you really the better looking?
Yeah, this makes it even more powerful.
More powerful? Because chicks dig scars?
I don't know what they dig, but sure as hell ain't fun.
Between the technology issues we've had this year and last, your tooth, your hand,
left thumb.
You ain't shaved I don't know how long.
That's last Tuesday. But I'm going to try Monday, I guess. But right now, it don't really matter.
Oh, man.
Don't really give a...
Man, we are a hot mess.
More than a hot mess.
More than a hot mess.
So what did you bring over to your mom? You didn't bring me nothing.
Well, as my mom said, you're not allowed to have alcohol while you're on painkillers. Otherwise, you'd have had some. We brought her a frozen margarita.
I haven't taken the painkillers in 2 days.
You could have texted back and said, I'll take one.
I had a decalfenex. There's a pain pill for my back or something. But trying to not get hooked on that stuff.
So when I got here, remember we were in the garage hunting down these cables because you couldn't remember anything. I told you, because I kept forgetting to tell you that Kaylee had gotten me for Christmas. She'd gotten us these big giant beer mugs that have
have our logo,
have our logo and our name, the two old farts.
So do you have them yet?
Yeah, they're at the house.
Where's mine?
I forgot to bring them because I keep forgetting to tell you.
Who's getting old here?
This guy. This guy right here. Getting old, man.
Then you sent me a thing. My Facebook post got...
Well, yeah, you weren't quite hacked. I probably misspoke. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are, or I don't know if there are, but there were this morning 2 Lou Corbett's on Facebook with the exact same picture.
But did one look better than the other?
Well, yeah, if it looked better, they looked like me. But I didn't notice that because I was scrolling through my Facebook feeds and then I saw that there was a Lou Corbett that had your picture that wasn't my friend. So I'm like, what did my dad do? Did he do something to Facebook? Did he unfriend me? Does he not like me? Is he technologically challenged and then unfriended me by accident?
A little bit of all of that.
Probably all of that. But anyway, so I friended you. Well, that what I thought was you. And within minutes, we're friends, and the person sent me a message saying, "Hi, how are you? Are you here with me?" And I'm like, I joke and tease that you're like old and retarded, but you're not so retarded that you don't know if I'm here with you.
But that's funny because the other day on my DAV chapter 14 post or Facebook thing,
the DAV
I got
chapter
a
14
request from some lady wanted to be a friend. I said, that just doesn't make sense. I didn't open anything or click on anything. That just didn't make sense. Why would some young person look like that, 20 years old, want to be on our DAV chapter?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
So, yeah, you get all kinds of strange requests, and why somebody would want to impersonate an old fart like you. I have no idea either.
Ain't nothing good about it.
Nope, nothing. No good can happen there. I'll tell you that.
So, how many people we got listening to us now? You said
we're almost at 2,500. Almost at 2,500 as of today. We have. Let me look at the stats. 2,492. Can you see that, people?
That's pretty good.
So our goal, we haven't been consistent.
We got to get to 3,000. Then we can build on
and then
that.
we can go to 5. Anyway, so check this out, people. Can you see right here? France. We had a person download from France. I see London. I see France. I see somebody's underpants. So yeah, we're slowly but surely. I think what we need to get momentum is we got to get more social media engagement, which means the usernames that I gave you for our social media accounts.
I get it.
Because I'm at work all day. You need to get on there and do old fart things on our Instagram and Twitter. And and say old fart things and reach out to people, because there are people who have engaged us, like the old man's podcast. Yeah. Get with him. There's a couple other podcast people that have messaged us and people that we follow. Answer those questions and just reach out to people.
Well, maybe next week if I get this cast off, and
you can hunt and peck with one finger.
That's what I'm doing.
I know. So yeah, start getting on there with social media. Get some engagement going. Get into the webpage. Start looking at it, figuring out the newsletter. If anybody would ever subscribe, I don't know.
You never know.
Otherwise, it's like, why are we doing this?
Well,
but nobody will tell us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or Twitter, what do you want to hear from us? What kind of stories do you want us to tell?
I thought I saw something the other day on Facebook. Somebody answered something. I don't know. That's it.
Well, you got to write shit down because you're old.
Yeah, I probably do more than that.
But you were
tie a string around my finger or something.
Then you'd forget why you did it. But you were in the Air Force for 20 years. You went to Vietnam. You went back to Vietnam in 1975, right?
Yeah, Operation Baby Lift.
Tell us about that. What happened in 1975?
That's when they were doing all the.
Who's they?
Air Force and the.
Come on, who's they?
The people who were
the fall of Saigon.
The fall of Saigon, but the evacuation children, babies out of Saigon, Vietnam, bringing them home to the United States for foster homes and stuff like that.
So you and a bunch of other
we're out of
security
Yokota.
police.
Two of us out of Yokota.
Where's Yokota at?
Japan.
Well, see, these people don't know that, Dad. You're talking to me, but you're talking to the. Yes, you're looking at me, but the people out there, they don't know.
That was pretty cool. We flew in.
It was pretty cool to go back to Vietnam.
On a C-141.
Pretty cool to go back to Vietnam.
Yeah. Flew in. These pilots were civilian pilots, but they were in the National Guard, right? So they were called up.
So they're not civilians. They're National Guard pilots.
But in the real life, they're civilian pilots, right?
Right.
So guess what they want to do?
Drink beer.
No, they
chase women.
They make a combat landings.
Oh, so they were like.
So we're like 35,000 feet, and they just go. We land. I forgot now exactly where we were.
Tan Son Nhut?
Wasn't Tan Son Nhut. It was someplace else out up country. Had a runway. We landed. They dropped that back gate of 141 down, spun around. We jumped out. I forgot who my partner was. I want to say Roberts, but it was Roberts. He went to the front, and I went to the back. We guarded the airplane.
You get down on one knee?
Yep.
Looking like that?
They're loading, and we're gone. I mean, we went on the ground that long.
Turning and burning.
Yeah. And when we take off, straight up.
How many times did you guys go back?
We did that twice.
Twice?
Yeah. 2 flights, and flew from Vietnam. We flew into to the Philippines.
That's what I thought. So you staged in and out of the Philippines at, was it Clark Air Force Base?
Then Yokota.
Was it Clark Air Force Base in the
Philippines?
See, remember, talk to.
That was pretty neat.
Look at
we weren't there very long.
Look at these people. So you were gone, what, a week, 2 weeks?
Actually, just a few days. The flights was just in and out, turn around and come back. Because they had other people. I forgot now how many flights and how many people that were evacuated from Saigon, from Vietnam, and stuff like that. And
so that's a cool history lesson, people.
Because it was a C-5 that blew up on takeoff or landing. I can't remember now.
I don't know. Let's go to the internet. But so, yeah, people, check this out. This is history. Yep. You guys can read about that my dad was a part of. Because I'm pretty proud of him.
Got shot down and
Operation Baby Lift crash. Tan Son Nhut, C5. You were right.
Yeah. April 4th, 75.
The Lockheed C-5A Galaxy, participating in the first mission of Operation Baby Lift, crashed on approach during an emergency landing at Tan Son Nhut. So maybe that's why you didn't land at Tan Son Nhut, because the plane crashed on the runway.
Because the whole process took a few days, if I'm not.
A loss of flight control due to an explosive decompression and structural failure. The fatal accident marked the second operational loss and first fatal crash of the C-5 Galaxy fleet, the third deadliest accident involving a U.S. aircraft other than the 1968 Com Duck C-130 shoot down.
Yep.
I forgot you guys used to have your airplanes painted like that.
Sure did. Uh-huh.
Now they're what? Gray, dark gray, like a battleship gray now. So here, the background to the story, people, why my dad had to go back in because of the fall of Saigon. So in early April 75, much of South Vietnam had been overrun by the Communist North Vietnamese Army. And the president at the time, Gerald Ford, because Nixon had resigned, he began instituting the evacuation of American citizens. And to avoid alarming the host country, the ambassador of South Vietnam authorized Americans to be flown out under several conditions, one of which was Operation Baby Lift, in which American caregivers were paired with South Vietnamese orphans. So you guys can read about it. This guy right here, this old fart, he was a part of that. So I think that was pretty cool.
It was. Had a lot of fun things happen.
Stay in the camera. Stay in the camera.
I don't need to be in the camera. I might break my damn computer.
Well,
Then I had to go buy a new one, right?
we got to do what we can.
But when Richard Nixon came,
Tricky Dick,
when he was going to China on his visit to China,
was that in 73?
73,
74?
73, I think. Anyway, they stopped over there, and because I had a top secret clearance, we guarded the airplane.
Didn't you guard when Ford came to
in
75?
Yep. So
you've guarded Air Force One a couple times, haven't you?
Then when Nixon came to Birmingham, he didn't come because of the football game, but it just so happened Alabama Auburn was playing that weekend. We went to Birmingham. We guarded airplanes up there.
Was it after
and Gene and Shug Jordan?
Shug Jordan. Was it 68, 69?
Yeah, somewhere around in there. And what's funny about it, all the press was there, right? When the Bear came out and Shug Jordan came out to greet him, stuff like that, kind of got tilted away from the president, and they started talking about Alabama football. Here's the president over here by himself, and the cameras and the media and Shug Jordan and Bear Bryant talking about Alabama football.
Well, clearly that's the most important thing to talk about.
That was, especially in Alabama, right?
Exactly. Those are two big heroes in Alabama.
Yeah. And today, I watched Alabama first time in several years. We actually beat Auburn this year in basketball.
All right.
Yeah. So,
you getting ready for March Madness?
Yes, I am. If everything goes well, we might finish in the top 10 and maybe have a lock for the playoffs. Be the first time ever. But anyway.
So you were TDY on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any cool ribbons or anything like that for Operation Baby Lift? No.
No, I don't think we got anything for that.
Not even an award? Not even an achievement medal?
Yeah, when you left Vietnam, you got the Vietnam Service Medal and all that kind of stuff. But,
National Defense?
Yep. So, anyway, that's where it was in 1965.
Well,
75.
And 75. Yeah. You were there in 65 and 75.
Yeah. So, but it was good. And then when I was over there, the good thing was my father-in-law was there.
In 65.
In 65 in the Army, Bob Charbonneau.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother-in-law, he's my brother, Bobby was there off the USS Ranger.
He was off the coast in the Navy.
Mm-hmm. So, and I used to go see my father-in-law. I'm going to show you this picture. Hold on a second. See if I can get out of here without.
So anyway, he's going to come off the camera and hopefully he doesn't trip and kill himself with the cables because he is old and feeble. Let me see that. Man, he's sucking in that gut, isn't he?
That's me and my father-in-law, Bob Charbonneau.
And that skinny guy.
I don't know who he is.
You know
who wish I looked like him now.
You know who you look like? Ray.
Yeah.
You look like Uncle Ray.
Yeah, we do look
like his youngest brother, Ray.
Yeah.
And so that's
don't ask me why we had shorts on unless it had been hot. I have no idea.
And that's my mom's adopted father.
Yes.
Because her real dad died in World War II.
Right at the end of World War II.
Right at the end of World War II.
Actually, one day or 2 days before she was born?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. So, but anyway, we found out the other day.
He was buried in Belgium, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. In the National Cemetery in Belgium. So,
long line of history, military history in our family.
oh yeah,
Your dad was in World War II.
World War II.
He was a military policeman
And Bob, my father-in-law, was at the end of World War II
in the Navy.
in the Navy, beach jumper,
Got out, came back in the Army.
Army.
A few years later.
Yeah, that's how we met. Yeah, and it's kind of strange because you wouldn't really believe this, but my boss, Tech Sergeant Franklin at Pleiku, where I was worked military working dogs
In 1965.
1965, knew of my father-in-law. He didn't know him personally, but they were beach jumpers together back in the World War II type thing
In the Navy.
in the Navy. So I saved up my days, and they had a Caribou airplane that was stationed at Pleiku. They'd take supplies down to the area and stuff like that.
So speaking of the Navy, what service was I in?
Army.
On the Army.
Yeah.
But guess what? I had to do a joint task force, a real world joint task force, and we did it on a Navy ship.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was on a ship for almost 3 months.
Yeah.
So that was in 2003. It was McKinsey was just a couple months old when I had to leave. So that was in July. What was that thing called? I remember now. It was called JTF Liberia. Let's look that up in the Googles. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say about JTF Liberia.
There it is.
If I could spell. There it is. Joint Task Force Liberia. That's where I was.
Yeah.
It was a task force formed from August to October of 2003. Well, if you just heard me say July, I was part of the ADVON or Advanced Party. So I and 3, maybe 4 others, we flew from Vicenza, Italy on the General's C-12 airplane down to Sigonella, which is in Sicily. And the next day we caught, I can't remember the name of the helicopter from the USS Iwo Jima. It landed there, picked us up, brought us on the Iwo Jima as the advance party to prepare the USS Iwo Jima to receive the Joint Task Force.
So how'd you get along with all them Navy guys?
I loved it. I had a great time on that ship. So it's really strange because being a warrant officer at the time, we got to eat in the officers' mess. So when we were in the officers' galley, because that's what they call it, a galley, or anyway, we're going through the line, and there's a guy behind the glass where the food is, and we're like, okay, we'll have some of this and that. And he's just sitting there looking at us with his arms crossed, and we're like looking at each other. And he's like looking at us, and what's going on? We're pointing at the food, and he points at the ladle, the serving thing. It's facing us. He's just there to empty the stuff out and bring new stuff in. You serve yourself. You can get as much as you want. You go back as many times as you want.
He's probably saying, you dumbass Army
A
guys.
bunch of dumb Army guys. What the hell are you doing? We're looking at him. He's looking at us. We didn't know that. I guess in the Navy, when you're a warrant officer or an officer or a chief petty officer, they have their own mess areas, and they serve themselves because they pick out the food menu. They pay mess dues, and the cooks go out and buy the food based on what they want to eat. So you're paying for your food while you're out at sea, and you get to eat what you want.
That's pretty cool.
Till you get fat.
Now, you don't get too fat. Depending on what kind of job you got.
So anyway, we were there in response to a civil crisis that was going on in Liberia. So it was their second civil war. So it says here, the ongoing civil war destabilized the area, creating a large number of refugees as rebel forces closed in on Monrovia and took over Bushrod Island. So as a result, the free port of Monrovia was closed and caused food shortages. So that helicopter right there, that's the kind we flew out on.
Chinook?
No, that's not a Chinook. It's a baby Chinook.
Oh, okay. Looks like it.
It looks just like it, but it's a lot smaller. They call it a frog. It's a... What the heck do they call it? Anyway, that's... So Colonel Blair, he was our chief of staff at the unit I was in, at CTAF, the Southern European Task Force.
Okay.
So he wrote an article, which is published at Fort Leavenworth. the Joint Task Force experience in Liberia.
It's pretty cool.
So that's everything that was going on. Everything we did.
You look at all this stuff, one thing is consistent is that Constantina wire.
So I can't remember the name of this airport right here. So you remember me telling you that I was on the first part to go on the ship to receive the JTF. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Who was the last off the ship?
You were.
I was last off the ship. The JTF left earlier that day. So it was me and a few other people, caretakers, to close everything down. So we had everything loaded up afterwards, got on a different helicopter, flew to this abandoned airfield or whatever, and we were just waiting there for like hours in Africa in like October. It's hot. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been to the desert. I've been to the Middle East. I've been to the National Training Center at Fort Irwin in August. Ain't nothing hot like Africa hot. And we're waiting hours for these damn C-130s for the Air Force to come pick us up and bring us back from Africa to Italy. So we're laying there on the asphalt on the tarmac just waiting for these planes to come. And there's old abandoned, bombed out planes on the runway. And a buddy of mine, he's sitting over by this old bombed out aircraft or whatever. And he's racked out leaning against his rucksack like this. And we spot something moving and we look and it's a mouse. And it's headed right for him. And we're yelling. We're trying to pick up, throw stuff at him, wake him up. That damn mouse crawled up his leg. All kinds of chaos.
Did he undress pretty quick?
No, it didn't go up his leg because we keep our pants tucked in. But it scared the shit out of him. That mouse crawled up on him.
Oh.
So the crazy things that you do in the military.
So what was your job over there?
I was the J6. The J6. So the military staffs are divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I think they go out to 9. So 1 is administration, 2 is intelligence, 3 is operations, 4 is usually supply and logistics, 5 I think is plans, and 6 is like command and control, communication computers. So like think of the chief information officer of a large corporation. So we're in charge of all of the video, the voice, the data, all of that stuff. So I was the only comm person forward on the JTF staff that they sent forward.
So what kind of ribbons you get for that?
Actually, there was a humanitarian service medal we got. I got a joint service commendation. And there was one other one I got. I got 3 out of it. Had I been on the ship a couple of more weeks longer, you know what I gotten? A sea duty ribbon.
Oh, wow.
Sea duty. For 90 days, the Navy gives out sea duty ribbons.
That's pretty neat when you cross branches of
Yes.
service and you get recognized. Because people start looking at it and say, what's that?
So check this out. Because I was on the ship, we got sea duty pay.
Oh, wow.
We got sea duty pay. Sea service ribbon. The sea service ribbon. What does it say? At sea. I can't see what it says. 90-day deployment. If I'd been on that ship 90 days, I'd have gotten a damn sea duty ribbon.
And how about what kind of sea duty pay did you get?
As a warrant officer, it was probably around $180, $190 a month.
Yeah, that's extra money.
Heck yeah, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Because this was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally 20 years ago. 20 years ago this summer.
So what other things have you been involved in?
Iraq, Afghanistan, Operation either Northern Watch or Southern Watch, the no-fly zones after Desert Storm. We had to go back to the Middle East and set up air defense artillery to keep Saddam Hussein from shooting down aircraft so he could, we were patrolling to make sure he didn't kill the Kurds.
So how's that compare to all that crazy stuff you're doing? I know you had a concert the other night. I saw you on the Facebook.
Well, they each have their challenges. Sometimes you're getting shot at or mortared, and sometimes you're in the mosh pit getting elbows and and all kind. Either way, it could be dangerous.
So who was this group you saw the other night? Was it last night?
It was last night.
Yeah.
It was three. It was Exodus, Black Label Society, and Anthrax, who was supporting their 40th anniversary, which technically was in 1981 to 2021, but because of COVID. So they're celebrating their 40th anniversary.
So what did you do? I know you had a meet and greet.
So, yeah. So all three bands had separate meet and greets that you could purchase. I didn't know it at the time, so I had only bought the Exodus one. And I've been a fan of all three bands since Zakk Wylde was in Ozzy and then left and started Black Label Society, and obviously been with Anthrax since the very beginning, and Exodus. Because Exodus, Anthrax, Metallica, all those guys invented thrash metal, if you will, that particular style of metal.
So there's different styles.
Yeah, there's all kinds of heavy metal. There's hair metal, thrash metal, groove metal, deathcore, grindcore. Oh man, there's Viking metal. There's all kinds of stuff, man.
I got to give a shout out to Northeast Central Baptist Hospital.
So how we go from talking about heavy metal to Baptist?
One of the nurses there, we got to talking, and one of them is a Catholic. You know the story your mom always
just said it was a Catholic hospital, so I'm shocked.
No, Central Baptist Hospital.
Oh, Baptist. So, yeah, I am shocked there's a Catholic working at a
Catholic
Baptist
nurse,
hospital.
right? Remember how your mom always talked about the nurses spanking her hand with the rules?
Oh, you mean the nuns?
The nuns, what'd I say?
Nuns.
Nuns. So guess what? She's telling me the same story that happened to her, something like that, right? So the other nurses in there, and we get talking a little bit about, and we agreed that we love Trump as a president. He needs to get off Twitter and
keep his mouth shut.
Yeah. So guess what?
What?
I was talking about your concerts. She said, I like heavy metal too. So she started talking about, I said, I'm going to have to hook you up with my son. Y'all can talk about some of this stuff sometime. She talked about this stuff. I have no idea who the hell she talked about.
But what was really cool was once we got into meet the band, normally when you do these VIP meet and greets, it's everybody stands in a line. You go up there and you just stand next to them and they're like, look at the camera, say cheese, click, next. And then everybody gets together, does a group photo. And then sometimes they'll do signings of things and sometimes they don't. So the coolest one I ever did was I got to meet George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic, but I'll save that story for another time. The second best one I went to was last night. So we marched in because Black Label Society was still doing theirs on the other side of the floor. And so when we came around the corner, there was the band standing there. And they kind of broke up. and each individual band member and then 3 or 4 people would just kind of like go hang around that one person, talk, chit chat, get something signed, and you just move to the next person. So I got to talking with the singer, and this young kid that was in front of me, he was asking him, the singer, because he wasn't the original singer of the band. He was, I think, the third singer. Mm-hmm. He asked him which particular songs does he like to sing while he's on tour. And I was expecting him just to give a cut and dry answer or whatever, but he thought about it. He goes, man, that's a really good question. He goes, now that you've asked me that, he said, I probably like to sing the songs that I didn't sing on the albums, and gave the story as to why. I was like, man, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, man, he asked a really good question. I got to come up with something good because he's going to think I'm a dumbass. So I was like, all right, I'll take it from the song. I'm like, so when you guys were out on tour, which bands do you like to hang out? Which bands do you like to go on tour with? And, we probably sat there for like 5 or 10 minutes just talking. That to me is what a meet and greet is supposed to be about. And he even said, he said, we like to come out here and be with you guys because it's like, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here doing what we do. And that means that they get it. And that's the connection between rock and roll, heavy metal, and the fans.
And that's
very accessible, very much like country music.
And that's where they make the money. Because the friendlier they are to you, the nicer you are, the more you're going to talk about them, and the more money you're going to spend.
And these guys are my age.
And it keeps you in touch with reality.
Some of them are, they're a couple years older. Charlie Benante, the drummer for Anthrax, he just turned 60 just the other day. What was I going to say? Somebody else just turned 60.
Well, 60 is not old. I want you to know that.
Well, Dad, when I joined the Army, I couldn't see past 30. I was like, 30, that's ancient.
See, now I think 95 is getting old.
Well, I hope so. Because 60 is right around the corner, people.
Well, I'm telling you. Just a year or so away.
So, no, for me, 3,
Yeah.
3.5. But like you and I were talking about at the beginning of the year, you retired in January of 1983.
January 1st, 83.
January 83. Today is February 2023. So that's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And you had done 20 years in, what, a couple of days, weeks?
2 months and 15 days.
Okay.
But who's counting?
Well, DD-214 counts. So what got me to thinking, and I asked you about, I said, Dad, did you know that you have now been retired from the Air Force twice as long as you had served?
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
And your mom and I are going to be married longer than that.
58 years in October.
Mm-hmm.
And why does it, I know it's coming, and then it comes and it passes, and I forget about your anniversary every damn time.
Well, we do too. So, the other day we were talking. She said, we're going to be married 60 years here pretty soon.
Yeah, 2 more years.
Yeah.
Y'all
That's a
old.
long time.
Y'all old. I'm old. Speaking of old, guess what time it is?
I don't know. I can't see that far. It looks like 31.
31, almost 32 minutes.
All right. Time goes by fast when you're having fun.
It is. You know what? This was a fun episode. It seems like it's always more fun when we're together than when we're doing it remote.
It is. It is for me.
And there seems like there's less technological errors when I'm here. Shit works.
On my computer.
Exactly.
So what the hell?
As we say in the IT field, the problem exists between the keyboard and the chair.
Are you
So what's in between the keyboard and the chair, old man?
It looks like you.
Looks like you.
Oh, well. Well, hopefully Monday I'll get this thing off and put another one on, and maybe I'll clean up a little bit.
Drink a cold beer.
Drink cold beer. Probably have a couple.
And go back to the dentist and get that flipper fixed. Because if you're going to get an implant, you need to make sure your gum has that indentation so the tooth, when they insert it, the gum line will fit around it.
Yeah.
And it won't be more painful from your gums.
Week. So, but I got to tell you, I have no complaints about my service from the VA. The community cares that people have dealt with are good. North Central Baptist Hospital are just couldn't ask for much better.
So I know you had mentioned before we go, we want to get maybe one of the service reps, the national service reps or chapter service reps from the DAV. Maybe we can have them in person, or maybe we can have them call in. And
well, Tiffany has already told me she'd be glad to do it.
Even though she's not a service officer anymore, she's a sexual assault prevention coordinator.
But she's going
a response coordinator. She's
going to still work and do claims and help chapter out and do something. So maybe one day we could set up.
And she can call in.
Yeah, or maybe have it at one of our DAV meetings. That'd be pretty cool.
I don't want too many of them old farts hanging around, Dad. Because they can derail a meeting with a quickness.
Pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah. Over some dumb stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Because y'all just like to talk. Because y'all
They
old.
do.
Yes, they do. Anyway, hey, thanks for being here. It was fun sharing stories. It was funny. We hope you find it funny, too. We hope you like us.
Yeah,
we want to hear from you.
I watch Facebook pretty much every day, so give us some feedback.
Yep.
Especially if you go any place else, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
But I gave you the username and passwords for Twitter and Instagram, so don't screw it up.
All right.
And the Tool Farts Facebook page. You can log in there, too.
Yeah, I'll do that.
We'll start posting stuff.
Okay.
Get smart.
Well, I don't know about that now.
We'll
It may be actually an impossibility
Do
there.
your best.
All right, guys.
All right, y'all take care.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. Bye.